Tv. My name is Christine L. Bowen, also known as CLB, and I am your host tonight. And tonight I'm here to facilitate a conversation that is not only right on time, it is timely for the times that we're living in, and it is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. Before we jump into it, I would like to just share what this show is about, because if this is your first time joining, I would like to wholeheartedly welcome you to this conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your second, third, or more time to CLV Live, thank you for coming back. I'm really excited to have you join me again with my special guest. I'm going to invite you to sit back and relax tonight. Let's take a breather from all that we have dealt with today and all that's happening around us, and create a space where we can really interact, because this is an interactive conversation. For those of you that are new to CLB Live, the show is designed to stimulate creative thinking and inspire creative living. And the show was incepted in 2014, and it grew from Google Hangouts on Air. I don't know if you remember that platform, but that's where we started. And now we are at the home of Listen Vision Studios based in Washington, D.C., broadcasting through WLVS radio. And that is to over 125 countries across the globe. And my invitation to you is to join this ongoing conversation. The conversation starts tonight, but it does not end tonight, okay? So my intention is for you to take part, whether it is through using the hashtag CLB Live TV. You can use that hashtag on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. That's a way you can participate in this global conversation. You can also participate directly. I call it the director's seats, where you can join us on clblive.tv. You can actively participate in the conversation live and help contribute to the conversation. If you are in the mood to just sit back with your cup of whatever, I have my ginger tea. I hope you have something nice and warm, or not. There's no judgment. Just sit back with your tea and would like to just watch what's happening and listen and take in the information. You can also do that through WLVSradio.com. That is who I collaborate with. I love my WLVS fam. And you can also join us on Facebook at WLVS Radio. I think that takes care of all of the technical stuff. Tonight, we're talking about the miracle of mindfulness. Hi, Shay Sparks. Welcome to the conversation. Thank you for joining us. So tonight, we're talking about the miracle of mindfulness and why we should adopt this practice as something that will help us cope with what's happening today and just cope with everyday life stresses. And I have someone that is joining me tonight that has been on the show before a few years ago, and I'm really thrilled to have her return. And before I have her join me on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and read her introduction, okay? So you can get a feel for who she is and where she's coming from. So Teresa Lacaraza, MSED, is, I'm looking for it, a native New Yorker, a proud mom of two amazing boys, and the wife of over 20 years to her college sweetheart. Her passion in life is to inspire and motivate women to identify their self-limiting and often childhood beliefs, clear away self-sabotaging thoughts, and train the brain to generate new positive thought patterns so that goals become tangible and a bulletproof roadmap to success is created. This is achieved by rolling up your sleeves and getting to work on your inner self. The world is at your fingertips. The choice is yours. Whether it is the use of EFT, also known as tapping, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, meditation, deep breathing, positive affirmations, and a number of other techniques, the fog will be lifted and you will have a distinct vision of a desired outcome. These practices allow you to walk confidently on a path to unequivocally achieve your goals. Teresa's commitment to you is to make certain you adopt, pardon me, the belief of how to heal yourself, empower yourself, and love yourself.
Mm-mm. Hey.
Hi.
Oh, you froze for a second. I'm sorry. So I wasn't sure if I was
It's
on.
okay. We're live. This is how it goes. Welcome back to CLB Live.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here again, talking about what we talk about the most and the best, right?
I know. This is our favorite topic, Honey Bunch.
Is
Yeah,
it it is. So thank you for that wonderful introduction.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Now, we had a running joke off screen before we went live that I tail with these glasses. So that's why I was reading it so calmly and deliberately. I was like, make sure I read every word properly. But I'm thrilled to have you here. I'm actually honored to have you here to open this discussion about mindfulness and the miracle of mindfulness, to be more specific. We're going to dive into this conversation. But first, I'd like to get a little bit more information that you could share with us on how did you actually come to make mindfulness and meditation and all of these great practices? Why did you decide to make it your vocation? How did you get involved with this?
That is a great question. So many, many years ago, I found yoga and meditation. I had an amazing yoga instructor. So I started my practice there and then went through some hard times. My husband and I had difficulty conceiving. So our only route was to go through IVF. So after several tries, we ended up having a beautiful baby boy. And then a few months later, we dove back into the IVF ring again to have try again. And I got pregnant with my youngest son, who happened to be a twin. Lost that twin, but God knows what he's doing, right?
Yes.
My son was born 5.5 weeks early, but very, very sick. He almost died twice, had a blood transfusion, and it didn't stop there. His first month of life, he called the NICU home. It was a roller coaster ride. So anyone who had to live through that and watch a baby through that, it's really difficult. When we finally took him home, it didn't end there. At 5.5 months, he started with lots of therapies. So it was a revolving door. And I found myself in a really dark place. We had more oncologists that I knew existed. It was constantly doctors and therapy and doctors and therapy, and just watching him. He was labeled failure to thrive. So it was really challenging. And I was in a downward spiral. And my aunt had said to me, I want to gift you some sessions with an EFT practitioner. And I had no idea what that was. So that's what I did. And I noticed after the first session, I was like, wow, I feel better. So I worked with her for quite some time. And then we relocated from Staten Island to Maryland, where I met you. That's how I got to meet you. And it was a very difficult transition. We had no friends. My husband traveled all the time. I found myself alone a lot. And it became I became depressed. So I connected again with my EFT practitioner and we started working together again. And one day she said to me, this is your calling. I'm like, my phone's not ringing. What do you mean my calling?
Right.
So I worked a little more and I just kind of pushed it aside and I was like, no. And at the time I was working with people to help them lose weight. And we all know that's like an onion and peeling back all the layers, right? So I studied more about EFT and learning about mindfulness and being in the moment and learning how to meditate and all those good tools, those juicy tools that I use in sessions now. And I had the birth of my business. And I
Nice.
met you, and I was afraid to come out of that spiritual closet and be like, oh, this is what I believe, because many people think it's woo woo. And I'm like, no, it's really not. It's real.
Yes.
Once you learn to quiet the mind, there's nothing that can go wrong,
Hmm.
because you're in that space in this moment, because that's really all we have. So it became my passion, and my life's purpose now is to get the word out to as many people as I can about how important it is. And especially now, obviously, no matter where you are in the world, you're dealing with a pandemic. So we have people that are very anxious, but it's my life's purpose. And I love working with women and getting them through that breakthrough of
Mm-hmm.
controlling the mind, because life is a
Mm-hmm.
mind game, right? So if we learn to control the mind, then we can control how our life begins to unfold. And it all starts with that. And it all starts with mindfulness, being mindful, and people sometimes, they equate meditation with religion, and it couldn't be more, you couldn't be more wrong with saying
Yes.
that it has nothing to do with religion.
Yes.
And I teach, here where I live, I teach senior citizens, and I have a group that comes all the time. They come every week, and they listen and they practice, and they've gotten so much out of it. So it's really important. If I can get people in their 80s to try something new and to stick with it, there's no reason.
I, you
And
know, I don't know these seniors that you mentor and guide, but I feel like I know them, and I'm so proud of them. They are so committed to their well-being, their spiritual well-being, their physical well-being, their mental health. It's just so refreshing.
it really is. It really,
Yeah.
and they make me laugh. They lift my spirit, and I go, well, now I do it through video, but every Monday morning, I would feel horrible, be like, oh, and I would get in there, and they were like, oh, you're so wonderful, oh, thank you so much. Or they would tell me a story about a tool that I taught them that
Yeah.
they used that helped
Yes.
through a situation or a day, or whatever it was. So
Okay.
it really is wonderful. It's a beautiful thing, and it's so important. And thank you for letting me share it, because we need to scream it from the rooftops that this is where we need to be. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to work on. We need to
Yes.
work on mindfulness, because there is magic in it.
Yes. So
Absolutely.
let's dive into that. Let's
Definitely.
dive into that. Before we do, again, I'd like to welcome everyone. Please, if you are watching live, let us know you're here. Give us a little shout out so we can feel your energy. And also, I want to just inquire quickly from my engineer, are we broadcasting on Facebook? I didn't see it. Let me know if we are so that I can share it to CLB Live on Facebook. Okay, so thank you for sharing your backstory of how you got involved with meditation. And yes, I neglected to mention at the beginning that I call her T and I have been knowing each other for about 10 years. And we met on the humble at a business networking meeting, and I felt her energy. And she's not only a dear, she's one of these people that I met that you never meet someone that you feel like you've known forever. That's how I feel with T. I feel like I've known her for lifetimes. And turns out that she's my spiritual guide. Through the techniques that we're going to discuss tonight, T has helped me make some major breakthroughs, even with things that I didn't even know were there. So before we get into the techniques, let's talk about the benefits, because like you said, meditation is not necessarily spiritual. There are many spiritual practices or faiths that practice meditation, but the actual practice of mindfulness, I should say, is there's scientific benefits to adopting this practice. So let's talk about the benefits first. I like to start with why. Why mindfulness?
Absolutely. Okay. So finally, I feel like in the recent past, maybe 10, 15 years, that science is now catching up to metaphysics. So people like to hear big names, right? So there was a study done at Harvard, And it was an 8-week study where they took 16 individuals and they had them meditate for 30 minutes a day for 30 days. Now, the key here is that they did MRIs of the brain before and after the study. When the study was completed, all of the participants, they saw that the gray matter in the brain grew. So what does that mean? The gray matter is it's where it processes the information that comes from our sensory organs. This stimulates our creativity, our concentration. So all of those things were heightened, right? So there's your scientific proof. Now, what happens when we are feeling anxious all the time? We end up with chronic fatigue, right? We have mood swings. We're all familiar with the mood swings, right? Low self-esteem, loss of ambition. You have, so what happens is we release cortisol, which contributes to belly fat. We have high blood pressure, all these different medical things that happen too. But importantly, it suppresses your immune system. So when you're in constant fight or flight mode, your immune system gets suppressed. Yes. So what happens when your immune system gets suppressed? You have people that constantly walk around with constant colds, or they catch every little thing. Well, it could be because their immune system is suppressed because they're always in fight or flight mode. They're always anxious, right? Always feeling that way. You're always tense, leads to depression. So the two of them go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So you have people that can't sleep or sleep too much, depending on where you are. This is all the result of too much anxiety, of too much depression, when we don't control it, and we can. Now, I will never say that, you shouldn't go on medication. Yes, there are times that you do need medication. You need that little bump. I just read an article today that said that there has been an increase in medication because, again, that was looked down upon. I think that, what, sometimes you need it. So I'm not saying don't take your meds. I'm not saying don't talk to a doctor to get your meds. I'm saying this is a way that you can help yourself. Yes. And maybe at some point, maybe you'll feel like, I got this and I don't want to take my medication anymore, or I got this and I don't need to go on it. Do both. It's okay, whatever works for you.
Right? Yeah, I can definitely share my testimonial on that. I was, as you know, back in 2012, I think it was, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. Turns out that it wasn't genetic or hereditary. It was all due to stress and anxiety. And even though I was on medication, notice I use the past tense, I incorporated holistic practices, including mindfulness, into my regimen, including a better nutritional intake. And I'm happy to say that today I am self-regulated. I no longer take medication under the guidance of my doctor. She knows. And every day I measure my blood pressure, and it's normal.
And again, that's the mind, body, spirit connection.
Yeah.
It's all connected. I tell all of my clients and all of my students, we're this big ball of energy encapsulated in this physical thing called a body.
Yes.
So we need to treat it all as one. We can't and only, focus on nutrition and exercise and have the physical body be healthy if your mental body and your spiritual body are lacking.
Yes.
You're still going to have lack, you have that void, right? So we have to find a way to make it all work together.
Yes. We have Shay Sparks in the audience, and she is intrigued by your comment about being anxiety causing fatigue, which is very true. It does. Which brings me now.
If you think about it,
go ahead.
At least I know when I'm anxious, and I do this a lot in my classes, it's like, okay, scan your body and you'll notice that your shoulders, maybe your hands are like this. So you're using energy to clench up. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing that all day, you're going to be exhausted, which causes fatigue. But on the flip side of it, you could be so exhausted and your mind can keep racing, even though you're so exhausted, you can't sleep. So,
Yes.
it's again, when we learn to quiet the mind, and everybody can do it. My 80-something-year-olds can do it. Anybody can do it. It takes, and we're going to talk about that
It
tonight, I
takes
believe.
practice. So we're going to get to the practice. And I think this is the bridge for that, because this happens every week. And this is exactly what I'm going to say. Right now, we're living in a time where our minds are in overdrive. And even for those of us who have been practicing mindfulness, it's proving to be challenging in these times. And so the things that you've described that we experience on a daily, anxiety, stress, high blood pressure, whatever the case may be, those things are now amplified with the state of our world with the global pandemic. And so this is why, folks, we're having this conversation today. So now we're going to get into the part that I've really been waiting for, to talk about the what. What kind of methods can we incorporate into our daily regimen to help us deal with the stress, the anxiety, and actually, as T said, keep our creative minds in motion so that we are in a place of solution rather than struggle. So T, let's talk about these methods that you primarily use to help, and what they are. So let's start with meditation.
Sure. Absolutely. So, I tell everybody that you can develop a meditation practice. Absolutely. Everybody can. The very first step in creating that practice is making the commitment. You have to make the commitment that this is what you want to do, right? Everything, when you start Weight Watchers, you start this, it's always that commitment, making that commitment and learning your why. Why is this so important for you to learn? And you make your list and you write it down in your journal. And don't set your expectations so high, right? You can't expect to sit down right away and go into a meditative state for 45 minutes.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
So exactly. It's not, and you may never get to 45 minutes, and that's okay. That really is okay. So you want to really start with small. Start really small. Chunk it down, right? I was a teacher for many years. Let's chunk it down. So 1, make the commitment. 2, decide that you want to, say, start with 2 minutes a day, right? Now, the next part is all about, just about everybody today has a smartphone. You need to look at your calendar and say, okay, this is what this is what my day looks like. And you need to figure out what part of the day would work best for you. And I always say, carve out 15 minutes. So let's start with 15. You're not going to use that right away, but let's start with just 15 minutes. Yes. So, now many people working from home, but if you're in the workplace and you have a lunch hour every day or whatever, set a timer on your phone that it's time for you to meditate, whatever time during the day that you can do that. So it's in there. We forget. Unless you put it in there and make an announcement to yourself or a notification. Oops, you know what? We get involved in whatever we're doing. Now I'm homeschooling my kids. I get involved with I have to make time, right? Yeah. So make the commitment. Don't beat yourself up. And start with just 2 minutes.
Yes.
We'll start breathing, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. There's 100 different apps that you can find, right? The Calm app,
Insight Timer.
Insight Timer.
Big ups to Insight.
Right, and there are meditations there, or sometimes it's just music. Well, maybe you like the ocean, you want to hear the ocean. Set a timer. Say, okay, I'm going to do this, and set it for 2 minutes, and do it every day. And the first day that you sit there and you're like, wow, that 2 minutes went really fast. Now it's time to up it to 3 minutes or 4 minutes.
Yes.
Once that becomes easy, then you make it 5 minutes or 6 minutes. So you're taking baby steps, because, meditation, like I said, you're not going to sit down the first time and be able to meditate for 45 minutes. If you decided that that you wanted to be a bodybuilder and you went into the gym for the first time today, you're not joining Miss Olympia tomorrow. You're not winning it tomorrow. It's like building muscles, right? So you have to give yourself a break. And if there are days that you sit there and you have a lot going on and you sit there and you really give it the college try and it's not working, it's okay. You have tomorrow. I've been meditating for over 20 years. And there are days when I have a lot going on that I give myself my break. I'm like, okay, I need to go meditate. And I sit and I breathe and I'm saging and I'm doing and I just, my mind is just, it's not quieting down as much as I would like. So I said, you know what? Thank you. I'm going to try this again. Yeah. I know that I have other things to do. And I go back the next day. Yeah. So you have to really give yourself that break. So I just want to make sure that I have everything here. So like I said,
it's all good, honey.
Right? It's all good. Make the commitment. That's the first thing. Make the commitment. Go easy on yourself.
Yes.
Set a schedule and start small. Start really small. 2-3 minutes a day. Start with that. And then increase by a minute or two when that gets easy. Find an app that you like. Or maybe there's a song that you find relaxing. So play that. It's my belief. There's no right or wrong way to meditate.
Agreed.
Yes. Whenever I sit in front of big groups of people, I say, okay, how many of you meditate? Maybe 1 or 2 hands will go up. Then I'll say, how many of you have tried to meditate? And a few more go up. Then I'll be like, how many of you pray? And so many hands go up. I'm like, yeah, meditating. There's no right way. If you are spending time with God, whatever your God looks like, it doesn't matter to me. If you are spending time every day, a few minutes, reading scripture or whatever it is, Psalm, whatever it is, whatever your God is, if you're spending time with your God, that's meditation.
Yes, I would like to bring up 2 things. First, Maria please forgive me, Runfolo.
Yeah, that's my girl.
She's here supporting you. She loves what you're saying. Also, Shay is thanking you for what you shared about, again, being tense and flexed, tiring us out. It makes sense to her. So thank you for that. And before we go into EFT, because I'm just itching to get into EFT, with regard to meditation, I would be remiss. We spoke about the scientific benefits of practicing mindfulness, using meditation as the primary tool. However, I'd be remiss if I didn't speak about the spiritual aspects, which you just touched on, because what I found when I started practicing, I think this is my 12th year in practice. When I first started, I did exactly what you said. I followed my intuition. I set a timer, and instead of trying to quiet my mind, I simply just started counting my breaths. And I started listening and tuning into the external sounds like the birds, maybe a car driving by. And if I found I was drifting, I would start to breathe, count the breaths again. And right around count number 50, 60, there was something that shifted, and I could feel a sense of calm and peace. And not only that, answers. I started to receive answers and guidance for the things that were perplexing me. And so that to me is the biggest benefit. Aside from the physical, it's the spiritual connection that is made through meditation. There is absolutely nothing like it.
Amen. Amen. I also teach in my classes that, our higher self, our intuition, we can tap into it at any time. Mm-hmm. Anytime. The way we do it, again, is practice. Mm-hmm. How do we do it? Meditation, mindfulness, quieting ourselves enough to hear what we need to know. Because
Yeah.
I will tell you, your higher self has the right answer for any question that you have.
Yes.
Knowing how to quiet your mind enough to hear that voice
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
says, like the day that you're driving home and all of a sudden you're like, I think I'm going to go this way instead. And then when you go that way, you find out that there was an accident on that road and you were saved because your higher self was like, no, go that way, go that way, go that way. And when
Exactly.
we listen, we may not always like what we hear. And when that happens, and this has happened to me several times, we may not like what we hear, but we're at peace with it. We're like, okay, I got this. I don't
Yeah.
like it. And I recently went through something like that where I was just like, yeah, no, you took away my plan A, my plan B.
Mm-hmm.
So where am I? So yes, it's very much getting in touch with your intuition, your higher self, whatever it is that you want to call it, whatever name you give it. But it's all in here. It's just a matter of making that connection and doing
Yes.
it often enough so you can do it like that.
Absolutely. I would like, can you believe we're already at the half hour?
You
Did I tell
said
you
it
that this time was going to? Okay, so we're at the half hour, so let me be a proper host. If you're just joining us, you're watching Clb Live Tv. I am here with my beautiful, dear divine connection, Teresa Lacaraza, who is a healing arts practitioner. She's the founder of Heal with Teresa, and we're talking about the miracle of mindfulness. And so we went into a little bit of why practice mindfulness, the physical benefits. We talked a little bit about the spiritual benefits, and now we're talking about the application, the actual methods that we can utilize to achieve this state of mindfulness, because mindfulness is the state, and then we have different ways to connect and achieve that state. And so Shay mentioned something that I think is a fabulous, praying is meditation. My mentor today, Dr. Masters, I just listened to him say the exact same thing. I thought with these glasses, it said playing is meditation. I think playing is meditation. Cooking is meditation. Walking can be a meditation. It's really presence that puts you into a state of meditation, right, T?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about another method that literally was introduced to me by T, 10 years ago? And I had never heard of it before until she introduced it to me. And I'm very open when it comes to my spiritual growth. And so I was like, I'll try it, sure. Not even imagining what would happen as a result. And let me tell you, folks, has blown my mind. I have not had any other practice that has done quite what EFT does. So T, let's first define EFT. What the heck is that?
Yay. Oh, I'm talking about this. I love it. I love it. So, and my friend Marie is out there. She can attest to how awesome and amazing EFT is as well.
Yes.
So EFT is emotional freedom technique. And we hear now a lot about it's called tapping, and that's exactly what it is. It's where you tap on different meridian points throughout the body to get rid of energetic blockages in our energy system, because we're all this ball of energy, right? And when something's not going right, when we have physical pain, spiritual pain, or emotional pain, that puts a blockage in our energy system. So we want to clear those away. And the way it works is by literally tapping on these meridian points, which are our circuits, little circuits that run throughout the body, right? As we talk or think about a problem that we're experiencing. So the way I like to explain it is picture whatever is the most peaceful thing or the most peaceful place on earth for you. Could be the beach, it could be the mountains, it could be sitting in a park, it could be somewhere in your home, whatever that is. And in order to get there, you need to walk through the woods with lots and lots of beautiful trees. For this instance, the trees represent the blockages in our energy system, right? So it'd be easier to get to that peaceful place if we knock down some trees. Now we're talking figuratively. We're going to knock down some trees. Now, sometimes when a tree falls, it knocks over another tree. Well, that subsequent tree represents these hurts that is so deep inside. We've all heard stories where, somebody was maybe abused as a young child, and they have no recollection of, they don't remember it as an adult, right? Mm-hmm. That's what those trees are. So you can clear those away without having to relive them. So many therapists now, talk therapists now, are using EFT because they're getting better results than just talking and making somebody relive through, a horrible time. So and it was invented in 1990 by a man named Gary Craig, and that's who I learned from.
So, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I did and I forgot, but wow. Okay, so you learned directly from the master.
Through video, and unfortunately, it wasn't live, but I learned through him. Learned this from him, and he's the one who. It's a cross between acupressure and acupuncture. Okay. So, and I really developed. I've helped people, with phobias. I've helped people lose weight, get over cravings. I've helped you with, numerous things. It doesn't matter. It works on everything and anything. I had pain in my hand for the longest time, and I would tap and the pain will go away, and then it will come back until I had injured myself, until it was healed. Yeah. But I kind of say it's almost like Tylenol, you take it, the pain comes until you're completely healed, or maybe your spirit needs to be healed, right? Yes. So this helps.
Yes, I
love it.
Me too. And what fascinates with me with EFT, like you just shared, is the speed. It's like instant. And so we'll go, folks, T will take me through a series, and I'll start with a stress level, or anxiety level of, let's say 8, because we have to rate like on a scale of 1 to 10. And then we'll go through a session, and it goes down to like a 3 or a 2, and I'm feeling calm and chill. I'm like, what? And that's within what, like an hour session or less?
Yeah, it depends on your anxiety level. It depends on how deep rooted it is. And so many times, I'll have a client that will come to me, and they'll be like, oh, well, because I'll give you work to do before you come to me. You get a little bit of homework. Okay, what do you feel that you need to work on today? Because again, our higher selves know. Right. And I am intuitive. So I feel things and I sense things, and a client will say, okay, I need to work on XYZ. And in my head, I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, let's go with it. And we'll be tapping on XYZ, and all of a sudden tears happen many times. People will start to cry, and then they'll come out with something like, oh, I don't deserve this. And I'm like, that's it. It's not XYZ. It's that you have this feeling of not deserving.
So you get to the core of the issues.
Absolutely, because your higher self knows.
Yeah.
And EFT, again, it knows what needs to be healed first. So it's going to get like, no, we're going to put that on the back burner. Because again, that could be a subsequent tree.
Yes.
What really needed to be healed was, your lack of self-love, or I don't deserve this, or
whatever that root.
Whatever the root is.
Really, we actually have a question from one of our viewers, and Shay, I love you, Shay. That's my soul sister there as well. She says she loves EFT. She actually recently hosted an episode on her show about EFT with another practitioner. However, we have a question from Giselle. I'm going to see if I can pull it up on the screen. I know you can't see it, T, so I'm going to read it to you. Okay. She asks, I'm curious, what if you're in the beginning of your mindfulness journey, but have recently noticed how much you value and appreciate silence? Is meditation found in silence too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are people who can't stand the sound of silence, and silence is important. That's where the answers come. So, Giselle, you said it was?
Mm-hmm. Giselle? No, Jaleese. Sorry, Jaleese.
So sorry about that. Yeah, no, silence is an important part of our lives, but most of us live in very busy lives. And when we do finally find that silence, it makes so many people uncomfortable. So many people. So bravo for you. And, try the meditation. If you now, mind you, you may decide to start a practice and sit down and be like, wow, that's 2 minutes. You might be able to start, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
just give your mind and your body. And I say this all the time before we do guided meditation with my classes, give your mind and body permission to relax. Sometimes you need to say those words. Mind, I give you permission to relax. Body,
Yes.
I give you permission to relax.
Mhm.
So if you can get into that quietness and silence and embrace it, run with it. Go with it.
Absolutely. I
Yep.
am my go-to practice, and perhaps it's because it's how I started, is silent meditation. I
Yes.
would like to share that I find that I have the deepest connections through silent meditation. That's how I started. And I actually started with more than 5 minutes. I think once I realized the connection I could make, I started doing 20-minute sessions, and the creativity was just off the charts,
Yes.
off the charts. And also, my anxiety was very, very minimal with
Yes.
daily practice.
Yep.
One of my favorite quotes, I must share this notable quotable, is silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation.
Ah, beautiful.
Yes. And so, even though we have different ways, and this is uh, me putting this out there to each of you, is even though there are different ways to achieve mindfulness, I believe the way to achieve that actual divine connection, the ultimate divine connection, in my humble opinion, is through silent meditation. And so that's something I would encourage anyone and everyone to practice. And like T said, if you start with 2 minutes, and then start amping it up as you feel comfortable, because it does take practice to get used to quieting that mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, there's no right or wrong. I The only time that I will go to a guided meditation is if there's a lot of chaos out here, right?
Ditto.
Like
Ditto.
that white noise out here.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder for me to quiet my mind. So sometimes I do need someone to guide me through it.
Oh, me
But
too.
but for me, I typically don't listen to music or listen to a guided meditation, but it's perfectly fine if that's what gets you to that place, because
Right.
it's the point of getting to that, as Dr. Wayne Dyer, who I love and I know you love,
Me
he
too.
used to call it the space between your thoughts.
Your
And
thoughts.
I say that's where the magic happens, the space
Yes.
between your
Yes.
thoughts. That's what, and when you realize that you make that connection to your higher self, you will want to do it again and again and again.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So we have 10 minutes. That's plenty of time when it comes to airtime. I've learned to appreciate the power of a minute. Um, so would you like to either demonstrate EFT and
Sure.
perhaps a practical, because I know all of us, we're tuned in. I appreciate you all tuning in actually and being a part of this conversation wherever you're tuning in from across the globe. I know that we're all experiencing some sort of level of anxiety when it comes to what's happening around us. So perhaps a quick tapping may help us not only experience what tapping is, but we may have actually experience some benefit from it right now, right, T?
Absolutely.
Oh, let's do a pass quickly.
Okay, we'll do it quickly. So
Hit me.
you got it, girl. I like to do some box breathing to before I start any practice. So it's real simple. You close your eyes, you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and exhale out of your mouth for 4. If 4 is too much, do 3. But you want to keep it rhythmic and you want it to be the same. So you breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. And you want to do that a couple of times until you kind of feel a little bit settled. And then we're going to go through when we first start, in case we have any, if our energy is reversed, we want it to flow the right way. So we start on, I'm going to tell you the points first. This is your karate chop point, which is right here on the fleshy part of your hands, and you just tap. You could do both sides. You could do one side. You could go back and forth. It does not matter. So you're going to tap. And then the first point is your eyebrow right here where your eyebrow begins. You're going to tap right there. The next one is right where your upper and lower eyelids meet on the bone. You're going to tap right there. Then you're going to tap right underneath where your pupil would be on that bone right there. Then under your nose. Then your chin and that little divot right there. And then the collarbone is, if you find that little divot, that little V right there, and you kind of walk your fingers over, you're going to feel a little tender spot. That's the collarbone spot. So what I do is I make my fist and I just thump. The next spot is under the arm. So it's
my favorite.
The middle. Yeah, your bra should be, ladies. You don't always wear our bras correctly.
We're stay at home, so there's no judgment.
No judgment. And you tap there. And then the last spot is the top of your head. So it's around the crown. And I just kind of take my palm and I just
my bun's in the way.
Yeah, bunny bun. Okay. Now, before we start, I always ask my clients, when we do our setup statement, you say, even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. If you are not okay with saying that you love yourself, that's okay. Then just say, I like myself. If that doesn't feel right, just say, I'm okay. It doesn't matter. And it also doesn't matter what words come from me. If something feels better coming out of your mouth, then that's what you say. It could be, and in a session, I would use your words anyway. So I'm just repeating back to you your story that you're telling me, right? Okay. To clear everything away. So you can use the right hand, left hand, both hands. Some people do both. It doesn't matter. So to keep it very general, because we're feeling so much anxiety, we're just going to tap on anxiety. And you can say the same statement over and over again for all the tapping points. Okay. Or you could put, when I feel anxious, my stomach hurts, I'm nervous, whatever it is. But we're going to use the same statement for every point. So we're going to start right here.
And we have time for one round. Okay.
Okay. Ready? So you're going to, right here on your karate chop point, you're going to say, even though I'm feeling really anxious right now, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling really anxious right now,
very anxious right now,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Third time. Even though I'm feeling really anxious right now, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Right. So after you say your setup statement 3 times and you tap, now we go to the points. You would say, I'm really anxious.
I'm really anxious.
I'm really anxious.
I'm really anxious.
I feel really anxious.
I feel really anxious.
Under the nose, I'm really anxious.
I'm really anxious.
Chin, I'm really anxious.
I'm really anxious.
Collarbone, I'm really anxious.
I'm really anxious.
Under the arm, I'm really anxious.
I'm really anxious.
Top of the head, I'm really anxious.
I'm really anxious.
Now, you can continue to go through all of those points and you can change it up. I'm really anxious. I feel really anxious. I don't know why I'm anxious. My stomach hurts. I'm so anxious. If you bring the physical part of it into it and you tap on the spots, you're good. If you miss a spot, don't worry. EFT is so forgiving. And you can just say the same thing. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. Do it a couple of times until you feel a little bit of, whew. Then you take a deep breath. You let it go. You see how you feel on that scale. Before I was at an 8, where am I now? And then you start all over again on the karate chop point and you continue through the other points until you get it down. You may not be able to get it to a 0, but you want to get it as low as you can.
Absolutely.
That was almost like speed dating. That was speed
It
EFT.
was speed EFT, but it actually, I guess because I'm a practitioner, I actually started to feel something while we were doing that. So thank you for tapping on anxiety.
You're welcome.
So we're going to wrap up here. So for those of our viewers who are watching that are feeling you and that are feeling this mindfulness and want to experience the miracles of mindfulness, how do we get in touch with you? I know you're doing so much for our community. You have your meditation mama Zen Den. You're always sending out all kinds of posts that are educating us on the benefits, and you're always participating in Zooms and classes. So how do we get in touch with you so that we can learn more about practicing mindfulness?
Okay, so you can reach out to me on social media. My Facebook page, my business page is Heal with Teresa. From there, you can ask to join my Meditation Mama Zen Den. There are 3 questions there that you must answer. Otherwise, I can't let you into my group.
Love it.
And I am on Instagram under Teresa Lacaraza, or you can email me at Teresa@healempowerandlove.com. And Teresa is Teresa without the H. So it's TERESA at healempowerandlove.com.
Fantastic.
Hey.
Well, honey, we have just about 2 minutes. I'll share and split those 2 minutes with you. What are your closing thoughts for our audience and our viewers today?
My thoughts for everyone today and the world is to focus your mind on peace. We need to feel peace within our hearts. And the more we feel peace, that energy and that vibe will be put out to the universe and we'll get more of it back. I don't know what our new normal is or what it's going to look like. I think we need to, and I think this is why this is happening on an energetic, spiritual level. We need to rethink a lot about how life was, and do we really want all of that to come back? So find peace. If you need help finding peace, find someone that can help you find the peace. If you feel that you connect with me and you liked my energy and my vibe, I'm here for you. I'm offering a discount right now in light of the situation. So just reach out to me if you're worried about that. I'm working with first responders and doctors, things like that, to help them because they're in the thick of it. So that let's just focus on peace. That's what I want to see. And if you need help and you're vibing with me, vibe a little more, reach out.
Oh, I love it. T, thank you so much for investing this time with us tonight. You have definitely inspired our viewers on clblive.tv are thanking you. They're saying that you're awesome. Thank you all for joining. For those of you tuned in on WLVS radio, thank you as well. I cannot talk about this topic enough. Mindfulness to me is the key. It is the key for maintaining that peace that Teresa is speaking about. It is the key for us maintaining a divine connection so that we can feel a sense of relief from what's happening around us. And not just a sense of relief, but also provide solutions, direction, guidance on the steps that we should be taking day by day as we deal with this new normal that we're creating for ourselves. So with that said, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. This hour goes by so quickly, and it's just so jam-packed with information. I can't wait to watch the replay. If you or someone you love, you'd like to invite to watch the replay, it will be available immediately after this broadcast on clblive.tv. Please share. Sharing is caring. You never know who might need to hear these words and perhaps connect with Teresa to receive the relief that they're seeking right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you. Next week is another special guest. We will be talking about how to go about creating this new normal that we keep touching on for the past few weeks, how you can create your own rules. And that will be with Pastor Regina Cooper. So until next week, Much love, light, and peace. One love, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.